Hello again, it's Dr. Mike Lingninger and welcome back to our OVET video series. Hi, Part 2, Balanced and Effective Electrolyte Solutions. In Part 1 we considered hydration and dehydration and how easy it is for your horse to become dehydrated and the negative impact of dehydration on performance. Recall that sweat is produced for cooling the horse and sweating is therefore beneficial. Sweating can rapidly result in dehydration, and dehydration, when excessive, can also contribute to heat strain or heat injury. The need for effective electrolyte supplementation was also introduced, framed on the idea that horse sweat is not just water, but that horse sweat contains a lot of electrolytes, and electrolytes need to be restored in the body in order to restore hydration. In this video, we will consider what needs to be in an effective electrolyte product. And this is important because there are dozens of so-called electrolyte products for horses on the market, most of which are not truly electrolyte products. An electrolyte product designed for maintaining hydration or recovering from dehydration needs to be composed only of electrolytes and carbohydrates. The proportion of electrolytes in the product needs to represent the balance of electrolytes lost in horse sweat. The carbohydrates, sometimes called sugars, are present to increase intestinal absorption of water and electrolytes and to make the products taste good when they are dissolved into water according to the manufacturer's instructions. Ingredients other than these, such as vitamins and amino acids and probiotics, for example, do not belong in an effective electrolyte product. Products containing such ingredients are typically given as a feed supplement and in such small amounts that they do not even provide 10% of the required amount of electrolytes for maintaining hydration or recovering from dehydration. So let us consider the composition of sweat. Sweat is mostly water and electrolytes with some protein, and that helps the sweat spread over the skin and hair coat to help with evaporation and therefore cooling. Both the water and the electrolytes come from inside the body, ultimately taken from body fluid compartments through the blood and secreted onto the skin by sweat glands. In horses, sweat glands do not reabsorb electrolytes the way that occurs in human sweat glands. This results in a sweat in horses that is very concentrated in electrolytes, nearly 10 times more concentrated than that of human sweat. So we need to think Gatorade for horses. But not human Gatorade, because human Gatorade was designed to replace the proportion of electrolytes lost in human sweat. So human Gatorade will not be effective for horses. It is too dilute and does not contain nearly enough electrolytes. The electrolyte composition of horse sweat changes during exercise, changes when the horse is heat acclimated, and there may also be breed differences. These differences are not important, though, when it comes to designing and using an effective electrolyte solution. If we dried horse sweat and measured the types and amounts of electrolytes, for each 100 grams of dried electrolytes, or salts, we would obtain 56 grams of chloride, 23 grams of sodium, 18 grams of potassium, 1.5 grams of calcium, and 1 gram of magnesium. The important thing is that this proportion of electrolytes is achieved in an effective electrolyte product. It is also important that the appropriate amount of water is consumed by the horse when electrolytes are given, so that the correct electrolyte and water balance can be achieved in the horse. An imbalance can contribute to ongoing health problems, such as muscle cramping and thumps, cardiovascular strain, stomach upset, and colic. The proportion of electrolytes in a product is important, and this can and should be accompanied by an appropriate amount of dextrose to help with water and sodium absorption, fructose to help with potassium absorption, and sucrose to help with taste. Product labels must be carefully examined for these proportions because most products do not have it right. Small variations are fine, but proportions should be within 30% of the numbers that I have provided. Good products also typically contain a flavoring agent because it needs to taste good when dissolved in water, good enough for the horse to drink the solution. So how much electrolyte solution should you give your horse? This is where it can be a little bit tricky for two reasons. Your horse will not drink an electrolyte solution that is as concentrated as horse sweat. And secondly, most horses have to be taught to drink electrolyte solutions, and this is going to be the topic of Part 3. Therefore, the manufacturers of effective electrolyte products usually recommend that these are consumed in half as concentrated a solution as that of horse sweat. The research has shown that horses will voluntarily drink these solutions when trained to do so. We should not offer a choice between water and the electrolyte solution. The amount of sweat loss can be based on the amount of time spent in activity or transport, and horses will lose 10 to 20 liters of sweat per hour of mild to moderate activity. So a horse should consume about 8 liters of an electrolyte solution for each 30 to 60 minutes of activity. Electrolyte solutions can be consumed 1 to 2 hours before activity or transport. This is a great way to bring on board a small reservoir of water and electrolytes into the GI tract before starting. This is beneficial for slower events like endurance and perhaps some cross-country events. In closing, a great way to maintain health and performance of your horse is to maintain hydration at all times. Thank you.